Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome once again to your live Investment Dominator Q&A call. I'm Warren Davis, and we're so happy to be here with you on beautiful Thursday. It's July 16th, 2020. 12 noon straight up here in Peoria, Arizona, and we're so happy to see so many of you on the call with us today, this Thursday, and we are definitely going to be getting your questions answered. Hopefully you are seeing my screen, seeing the Black Investment Dominator screen, and you're hearing my voice okay. Those of you that are brand new with us, just so you know how to correspond, I want to make sure that you can get your questions answered. Those of you that can give me a sound check, if you could just type in, hey, you can hear me and you can see my send your questions screen just fine, and that's the only screen that you're seeing, that would be a big help to me. So let's see, questions that we have for today. We're going to get addressed, and we'll expect some more people to be joining us here very soon. So hope you're having a great week and that you're staying safe and that your businesses are moving along. To send in your questions to me, please use the control box as you can find in your, as you log into the system, and just simply type in your question. We do appreciate the fact that you put a question mark or maybe the word question in front of your question so that I can distinguish between comments and questions relatively easily. With so many of you in the room, it's difficult sometimes to determine if it's a question or if it's actual comment without either a question mark or maybe the word question or just Q in front of it also helps me. But we're going to get started here. One of the first things we wanted to do today by way of, we're going to answer a question that we've been getting here the last few days that wasn't really even on our backlog, but that we're going to address because so many people have been, running into this, and of course, we're going to, be in our Investment Dominator screen, but we wanted to address the change for Jing. Jing is a tool that I don't know if all of you may or may not be aware. Jing is a tool that allows you to do screen captures. So my Jing is still operational, at least I think it is. If I say I want to capture my screen here, hopefully you can see my cross, and I'm just going to come, I'm going to capture, let's just say part of my screen. So I'm going to do a screen capture. I'm going to say capture image, and as you can see, Jing allows me to capture an image of that particular portion of whatever it is I'm trying to capture. At this point, I can come in, I can start putting arrows, I can create, some kind of text box that I can write in and just say, created field. I can write text in the box. If I want to just highlight something, I can create a highlighted box around. So Jing allows you to create, images and write on your images so that you can instruct folks. If I wanted to shade, I can use this. I can shade this portion, or I can shade this portion. So this is what Jing allows you to do. So I'm pointing this out because this is a very useful tool when it comes to us creating, our listings. When we want to write on, we want to create, write on pictures that we might have in our system. All right. So Jing is what we've used. It's a free tool, right? But Jing is going away. And what I want to make sure you understand is that the new screen capture that's replacing Jing is called TechSmith Capture. All right, and so you would come on and you would download this new version, Jing, which is replacing Jing, called TechSmith Capture. And what I had done, just for your ease of making that change, and so some of you may find out that if you go in, like you've had Jing the last, I don't know, Jing has been around for years. So some of you may have had Jing for several years. But now when you go in to access Jing, it's saying that it's no longer going to be used. It gives you a warning message. And I think either yesterday or today is the last day that they're supposed to support Jing. So if you want the new replacement for Jing, just use this particular www.techsmith.com jingtool.html. It will take you into the new downloadable TechSmith Capture tool, and you want to access the Windows download. If you have Windows, they also have one for Mac, so you can do a Windows download or you can do a Mac download, and then you'll be able to access the blue download Windows. You'll have to do that. You'll probably have to create a new account for Screencast. That's something different. So you have to create an account with your password, and then at some point you want to customize. You want to accept the customized cookie settings that they have on the system. So it looks something like this. As I go through the steps, I'm going to download, and then I'm going to choose my Windows download, obviously. And as I choose my Windows download, it's going to give me an option to download Windows or get the Mac version. And down here at the bottom, it has an exe file, a .exe or execution file that you can now open, and that's going to actually download the new version of TechSmith Capture. And then, of course, at some point you'll have to accept the cookies. But this is just a tool that's going to replace your current Jing tool that you use to do screen captures, and that's the whole point that we're trying to make here. So this is going to go away, and it'll be something version. The functionality is going to be the same, but how you access the different functions over here obviously is going to change. So let me cancel out of that, and we'll just go on with our other questions. I see some questions coming in. We'll see if we can get to them. We do have a backlog because last Thursday I was in a 2-day workshop, and so I could only do 30 minutes of the call. But we will get as much done today and probably finish up our backlog hopefully by Monday evening. So let's see if we have any of these questions that are relating to our questions that we have coming in. Okay. Okay. So let's see, additional stages. One of the questions. Okay, we're good to see John and Iris online with us here. One of our great students that we have. We just enjoy them. Glad to see all of you others that are here as well, and the good questions that you're bringing in. I'm just looking through the questions to make sure if there's some that are related to issues that I'm going to cover from our backlog, I'll just go on and include the questions at this time. Okay. 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 Definitely got that question from Jason. That's something I can probably work in here to create to answer that question, Jason. I'm going to get to it as soon as I can. So Abid had a question from last week. B's question has to do with additional stages in Investment Dominator. Okay, and I'm just going to put the question, should we create additional stages in ID? And when Abi is speaking of, there's an article, stages versus status, all right, which explains to you the difference between your stages and your statuses. And obviously you have that for, land as well as houses. So the way I would get to that, of course, is I'm going to go help. And let's see, let me get rid of some of these that don't pertain to anything we're talking about here. Help and search our user guide. And if I put in stages, the word stages, there's going to be a series of articles come up. We're interested in stages versus statuses, which will explain to you what a stage is versus what a status. So you have a stage of the LPG process that can contain multiple status, like the prospect stage is a perfect example. Prospect stage is for when you are first going to send neutral letters out of Investment Dominator. Those records can be in prospect status. We know that once you mail them out, we move them to mailed letter 1 status. So there's a prospect status and there's a mailed letter 1 status, but they're all within the prospect stage. So if I want to see all of my stages in Investment Dominator, I'm going to be on this green line right here. These are all the various stages of Investment Dominator. Stage is just a higher level that contain one or more status. So Abi's question basically is, if I wanted to create a new stage or status, I'm going to come into the custom stages and statuses. All right, we have certain ones that are already built in, certain stages. You can add a stage if you want to. And this explains to you, you can create up to 25 custom stages to manage your property records. We find that the built-in ones are more than enough for your different stages. But if you do want to create one, you would simply have to go to your add stage. We don't recommend that, just to keep down confusion. If you're explaining some issue you have and you start talking about a stage that we don't have in our built-in stages, it could get a little confusing. Or if you send in a ticket, it could get confusing if you're using a stage that we don't have in our system. Now, we do definitely recommend that you add statuses as you need them. All right, and it's pretty simple to add statuses. Obviously just come up to add status. You want to select a particular stage that status is going to be assigned to. Let's say, like, perfectly good one would be under prospects, and we're going to say it's for land. And I might put in this status, don't call me again. And some of us have probably already, come across some individuals that say, hey, don't call me again. So these are prospects, and we've sent them a neutral letter. And as a matter of fact, why don't we make that offer requests? Because that would be more appropriate, actually. You've sent them an offer request for their land. They're not happy with that offer that you sent them. So they're saying, hey, don't call me again. So I might create a status saying, don't call me again. And my options is that basically I want to be able to generate documents from that. And I'll just say add. Okay, and usually it would go, and this stage here, we want to make sure we edit the stage and we get it correct. So we want that stage to be under offer request, right? Offer request. Yes. Okay. So we get that stage. Investment Dominator. Okay. Don't like it when my plans don't come together. So here we go. We'll try adding the status on this account. Status under offer request. We'll say there for land. Don't call me again. Okay. Let's just say we want to generate documents. So we say add. Okay. So the don't call me again. There's a couple of them in there. Edit. I want to delete one of these since I can. Okay, I'll come in here and edit the other one, and I'll move it to the offer request stage. And let's see if I can save that one. Okay, so that allowed us to save the status correctly. So we created a new custom status. So basically, the way I might want to use this, we don't recommend you create necessarily another stage because it's the offer request stage. That should be plenty. But obviously, when I go back into my land deals and let's say I do my offer request, any record under pending preliminary research, if I've contacted them, sent them an offer, I've heard back from the customer, they say, hey, I'm not happy with the way you guys do offers, don't send me an offer again. I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna select that record, come up here under changing the status, and I will simply move that to the don't call me again status, right? And then I can confirm the move. Now, why would we do that? That's a good question. Why would we move it to don't call me again? Okay, and I'm going to write that question down. Why would we move a land record to don't call me again? If we've heard that from the customer, if we heard that, move that to a custom status, okay, we would do that because life changes things in people's lives. Circumstances change. We're going to confirm that move for that one record, right? Say okay. So it's no longer under pending preliminary research. If we search for it, we now have to search for status equal to don't call me again. And this is the record. So why would we do this? Because as things change in people's lives, maybe not today, but maybe 6 months from today, we want to go back through and we want to search for all of the don't call me again. And I may want to send them another offer. It's almost like a second or third offer that we're sending out. We didn't hear back from some people, or they said, they maybe just didn't give us a call back. So we decided we're going to send them a second offer. These people that said, don't call me again, they don't like our offer. But in a year or so, 6 months to a year, I might just go through and get all of my don't call me agains, and I may up the offer, resend them an offer. And we always tell the story. One of our coaches tells the story. If that there was a person that took his offer, he actually tore it up. And of course, at the time the coach didn't know that they had torn up their offer, but he tore it up. Now, a month or so later, something changed in that man's life. He actually ended up taping that offer back together. He took some Scotch tape, taped the offer back together, signed it, and sent it to our coach. That's a story that we tell in the 2-day workshop, and this actually happened. He signed the acceptance letter and sent it back. So that's an encouragement, hopefully, for you people that are, you get out there sometimes. Hey, this low ball offer, man, I'm insulted. Don't send me that again. In 6 months to a year, something has changed in these folks' lives. Next thing you know, they'll be accepting your offer. So that's the reason why I'm going to keep track of these don't call me agains, because I will definitely send them another offer. Okay, so hopefully, Abi, that gives you a little insight there. Don't worry about creating a new stage, but you can create as many statuses as you so desire. Okay. All right. Next question we have here is John and Iris asked the question. Should we outsource neighbor letters? Okay. Should we outsource neighbor letters? And just for those of you that are brand new, neighbor letters are letters that once we get land under contract, so someone that we send an offer to, they say, yes, I accept your offer. So now what do? We move them from, they went from pending preliminary research. We've probably already changed the status to, offer sent, right? Offer sent status. So now we're ready to open up escrow and do a detailed research. So we go in and research that parcel, and we find out, okay, this is a buildable parcel. Everything looks good. We're not finding any issues with title. We've done our escrow research. Now we want to move it to complete ready to sell, where we're ready to market this parcel. But before we market the parcel and we put it out there in Zillow, Facebook Marketplace, etc., we want to see if someone from the neighboring community wants to possibly buy this parcel, right? That we are about to put in complete ready to sell mode. So before we do that, we're going to send out a bunch of neighbor letters from our marketing campaign. We're going to bring into Investment Dominator all of these neighbor letters. So John is saying, well, should we outsource all these neighbor letters so that they're created rather than us having to go in here and produce the neighbor letter, from within campaigns, and having to produce this neighbor letter? Should we, here's an example of the neighbor letter. Should we outsource this so that these neighbor letters, get printed automatically along, and that we put our flyers with them and have them mailed out? And the answer to that is yes, that's a good thing to do. We do have a VA that being our company has a VA that works primarily with coaching students that are in our mentoring program, and can show you the best way to outsource, or will handle that outsourcing of those neighbor letters for you. So to John and Iris, because you are coaching students, we're going to circle back and we will show you exactly, put you in touch with that VA that will create your neighbor letters for you. Incidentally, those of you that are just new to this concept, sending out neighbor letters, we used to think that it was only like maybe 2 or 3 neighbors, close to that parcel that we're marketing, that we're going to send out letters to. Such is not the case. When we go into a particular area now, into a county, we're going to look all around that parcel, and we're going to send out probably a minimum of 40 to 50 neighbor letters to all of the people that are in that vicinity of that parcel. So what am I saying? If you have 2 parcels under contract that you're marketing, that's 100 neighbor letters right there. So we're going to send out that many neighbor letters. That's why you might want to outsource this activity, because there's a large volume going out. But John and Iris, we will get with you and share with you exactly our VA connection, and you can have your neighbor letters outsourced. Okay, Brian asked a question that came from Monday. Brian's question, going to try to get through as many of these today as we can. Brian's question, when one potential seller has multiple properties, what's the best way to generate the offer letter in Investment Dominator? Okay. When one seller has multiple properties. Okay. His best way to generate the offer. Okay, the best way, understand, when you go back to your land deals records, just so you understand the background here, you're going to have one record. This is a property ID record. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked there with some of the comments coming in. You're going to have one property ID record for every parcel. So let's say, let's see, this Lilia Rosado. Let me see if I think she has multiple. Rosado, I believe. Yeah, as you can see, so we're going to change her status back here to pending preliminary research. Okay, so Lilia Rosado has 2 parcels, all right, that we're going to be sending her offers on. We got an offer amount for one, we're going to create an offer amount for the other. These are 2 different parcel IDs, property IDs, but it's the same owner ID. So if you have one owner that's got multiple parcels, all we're going to do is put one offer together for each parcel. And then when we go into Investment Dominator, into the campaigns area, as long as there's an offer amount and the record's in pending preliminary research status, we will automatically generate an offer for this property. Now, in this case, for her second parcel, as you see here, an offer letter would not be created for that parcel because offer amount is 0. We haven't created an offer yet. But as soon as we do so, both Investment Dominator is going to create 2 records or 2 offers, 2 offer agreements based on what we've come up with. That's going to be produced when we go up here in our campaigns area and we look at our offers, right? There would be an offer for Lilia Acedo, right? All right. So just want to make sure that's clear, that you're going to end up printing an offer for every property that shows up in their that they have their owner ID. And let me just explain that to you too, that there's an owner ID. Rosado. Okay, so you have Lilia Rosado. If we edit one of her records, it's going to show you her owner ID is 17316, right? Or that's another word for that, we call that the reference number. So the reference number that appears on your neutral letter envelope, this is that unique owner ID number. So each parcel is going to have a unique parcel number, property ID number, and will have the owner's ID here associated with it. So if I went back into all of these land deals and I searched for the reference number, oh, didn't get it. 8, I believe is what it is. Let's see if that's the right one. Let's find hers. Okay, 17316 is her number. So if I go back into Investment Dominator and I search by that reference number, all right, it's going to bring up all of her records. Okay, that's the way Investment Dominator works. Is you have your owner ID and you have a unique property ID. So each offer you send out, Investment Dominator is going to create an offer letter for that. Now, that said, I want to make sure you understand something. Sometimes when the owner comes back, let's say an owner has 10 different parcels that they own in a particular county, they will come back and they'll say something like, well, I've got this parcel that, this APN that I want you to check out, but I also have 9 other ones. And this is, I mean, that's not an unrealistic circumstance or situation or scenario. We had one guy come back, he had 12 different parcels in the same county, and we were only looking at one at the time. So he wanted us to give him offers. He requested we give him offers on all of those 12. Well, we didn't do that initially because my thinking was, if I go through looking up comps, looking up the market value of all 12 of those parcels, different places in the county, that's a lot of work. It's a lot of my time to come up with offers. Now, he's only requested an offer on one. All right. So the seller is asking now, would you give me offers on my other, 11? Or if you have 10, would you give me offers on the other 9? You can say, yes, I'll be happy to do that, but I want you to take a look at my first offer here. Because chances are, if you don't like my first offer, you're not going to like the last 9. If you don't like my first offer, you're not going to like the next 11 offers I give you, right? So I want you to see, Mr. Seller, if you like the first one, and I may even put a little extra note in their offer letter going back, said, I know you've got other parcels that we'll be happy to analyze for you, but we want to know if you're willing, or if you want to accept our offer on this first parcel. And if they write you back or call you back and say, yeah, I can accept your offer on that, then you go into action and you do all that work to get the other 9 out there. And by the way, you want to do one offer for every parcel. That the rationale behind that is they might look at those offers and say, well, we had them look at offers we had one guy had 7 parcels. He decided based on our offers that he wanted to sell us 4 of them, but he wanted to keep the other 3 for the time being. So if he has an offer letter for every single parcel, then he or she can decide which ones they want to keep and which ones they want to sell to you. It'll sound like they want to sell them all to you, right? But in reality, when they look at it, they decide they want to keep some of those parcels, or they talk to family members later, and the family members say, I don't want to sell that piece of property that's right next to that lake I like. So then they want to take that one out of the mix. All right, there's a whole bunch of different reasons why they might not want to get an offer on that property. So you want to use your time wisely. Send them back the one offer they're talking about. Let them see if they want subsequent offers on the other parcels. In any case, that's my 2 cents there. All right, let's see. let me see if I have a question related to that. Yes, yes, I know. I got it, Sheila. That's and and you're going to spend a lot of time doing that analysis. Um, Sheila said they want to sell all 10 parcels as one package. They can do that if they like. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. They'll put together, a package deal. But somehow you need to break it out parcel by parcel, because though they want to sell you all 10, a buyer may not want to buy all 10. So you need to know what each of those parcels are worth, so you know how you're going to make your money back. Okay. Okay, Joseph is asking, good question there. I can hit that one real quick. Joseph says, how does the mailing work for the first neutral letter when they own multiple properties? That should only be one letter for each owner, shouldn't it? And that is correct. That is absolutely correct. So how does mailing work for basically for owners with multiple properties? So the way Investment Dominator works is, even though the owner has multiple properties, when it comes to the neutral letter, I mean, they can own 50 properties, but when it comes to neutral letter, they're only going to get one neutral letter per owner. All right. So does ID only send one neutral letter? Yes, that is correct. ID sends only one neutral letter per owner. So you don't have to worry about uh, the owner getting a letter for every single parcel. All right, more of a business question here, as coming up here, that has to do with that Amato asked on last week. How do we set up a lease purchase agreement for a buyer or leasee, in a summarized list of steps? How do we set up a lease purchase agreement? Okay. And a lease purchase has to do with seller financing. You have two types of seller financing capabilities within Investment Dominator. One is you can set up a lease purchase, which just means you're going to lease the land to your buyer. And at the end of the lease, your buyer has basically paid off the land, and now you put that land in their name. So the other type is a loan, which has associated with an amortized schedule. All right. With a lease, we do rental credits, and we'll give them a credit for every month that they give us a correct payment. With a loan, you can charge interest. With the lease purchase agreement, you cannot charge interest. So the terminology is different. The actual way that instrument works is a little different in the marketplace. So we basically, he's asking, how do you set up a lease purchase agreement for a buyer? And he wants to summarize the steps. So we are going to say number one, and I hope you guys can write this down, or you can go back and listen to this. That's probably the best way. Go back and listen to this particular webinar again. But the first point is, you want to explain that the land is being leased and that it's going to remain in your company's name. You go up here under our notes section. This is where you can either, you'll end up with a loan type, or you'll end up with a lease purchase agreement. But one of the first things you want to explain to that individual, let me see if I can come up with one here. Just so you can see kind of what I'm talking about. We'll use a payment calculator. Let's say we're going to put $800 down. This is your payment calculator, which allows you to do a loan or a lease purchase agreement. Again, let's just say we're going to do a lease purchase, since that's what the question was around. This is the terminology. These are the terms, and if you hover over any of these terms, it explains them in Investment Dominator so that you know how to set up your lease purchase agreement. So, but the first thing you want to explain to them is that this land, once they get this land and they start to make payments on this land, it's going to remain in your company name. At least that's my recommendation. Now, it doesn't have to be like that. If you want to put the land in your buyer's name, you are more than welcome to do so. Some folks do that because they don't want the liability should anyone get hurt on that property. What we do is, you see this monthly service fee here, where it says you can charge $20 a month. We simply go out and purchase a liability insurance policy on that parcel. So we do this per parcel, and we're going to add that in. Let's just say if it's $30 a month, our monthly service fee now becomes $50 a month, where $30 of that is paying for a liability policy that we put on that parcel. So that protects us should anyone get hurt on the property. So that's why we keep the land in our name. That's addressing that issue. We keep it in our name because we're out here in Arizona. I didn't want to have to be going back to court. You know, if we were doing handling land back in Texas, or we have it in North Carolina, I didn't want to have to be flying back to these different places to foreclose, to go to court for foreclosure, or having to either employ an expensive lawyer to go to court on our behalf to foreclose. I don't want to go through that. So we keep it as a lease purchase. We keep the land in our name. If they default, they don't make their payments, all we do is send them 3 certified letters. First letter says, hey, you've missed your payments, you're behind, please make them up. If they still don't, they go another month, they don't make up their payments, we send them another certified letter saying, okay, this is your second communication, you are behind. If you don't make up these payments, we will consider this agreement null and void. If they still don't make up their payments, we send them a third certified letter stating we're now considering our contract with you null and void. All monies that you've paid, all deposits, all payments, we will retain in our company. And we simply remarket this property and sell it again. So that's the reason why we keep that in our name. The second point, you want to explain that there's no building to be performed on the land until the land gets paid off. That's the second point. It's in our name. As long as it's in our name, they cannot build on it. They cannot modify that land other than cleaning. They can clear the land, getting it ready, but they cannot do any building. They can't even erect, we don't allow them to erect a fence, not even a fence, to keep others out. And that's just the way we've opted to do it, because people can still get hurt, just erecting a fence. Or somebody gets hurt running into that fence, and then they end up suing us, etc. So we don't allow them to even put up a fence. You explain that any changes on the property must first be approved by us, the owners, since that property is in our name. Explain that there are no prepayment penalties. They can pay off their loan at any time. We explain to them that they are going to be getting rental credits. All right, rental credits. We're not charging them interest. But if they give us $300 for a payment, $250 or whatever of that is going to be maybe a credit. They get credited $250 or $220 a month. The other $80 we keep for our processing fees. So you also explain, in the event that they default on their loan and they don't make their payments on time, that they're going to get 3 certified letters regarding these payments. By the time we get to the third letter, basically the land is going to come back to us. So that's going to be how you set up your lease agreement, Amato, and those will be the components that you need to consider. And at this point, that's all I'm going to say about it here, because this is this notes discussion, seller financing is an entire conversation that takes a little while to get through all aspects of it. So Demery had asked a question on Monday. If you enter incorrect data, so if you enter the wrong county or the wrong state into Investment Dominator, is there a way to complete or batch change these records? So if you enter data incorrectly, let's say the wrong county or wrong state, how to batch change. And there's a couple of different ways that you could correct your mistake if you entered data incorrectly. You could go up and search for all records that let's see, change status. Probably if you did, let's say if you imported these records, let's look at all those that are in prospect status, which includes mail letter 1. So if I inputted a whole bunch of prospect records and I want to change it all at one time, I can use, if I imported them, I can go in, I can delete my previous import. And there's a whole explanation of how you do that. You come up here under team and under activity log, and you're basically going to find where you did an import, where you did your last import. As you can see, I have pages here. Okay, added by importing. That's the one, that's the kind you're looking for. This kind of entry, I added by importing a list. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to hover over this question mark. This is going to give me the number of records. These are the record IDs. So I can then write down this, 457 to 956. Those are the unique identifiers for each of the records that I imported in this import. I'll go back into my Investment Dominator. Let's just say, this 944 through 952 are the records that I want to get rid of. I am then going to come up here under my search. I'm going to search by that record property ID range, because remember, this is my property ID number here in this column. All right, so I'm going to search by property ID, and I'm just going to say 944 through 952. Now, obviously, if you have an import that you come up here under team, you hovered over that question mark, you saw your range, you wrote down the range of numbers. Those are the range of numbers that you're going to put in here. I'm just using this as an example, 944 to 952. I search, brings me up just those records. You see all of them are in prospect status. I then do a select all, which selects all those records that I searched for. And then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to delete. All right. And when I hit delete, it's going to say, hey, you've selected, so many records. Are you sure? Once you do this, this cannot be undone, which it can be, but it's telling you it can't. So make sure you confirm to delete. All right. So that's how I would delete my last import. And then I want to come back up here and I'll go back through my import process again, choose my file, and then upload the list. So that's how I would correct the data. Before I import again, I would then go in and make sure the county is correct, or make sure that the state, whatever state we're working with, is correct. If I want to do it any other way, let's see if I selected these records. There's really, I can change status. There's really no way once I select these, other than to go in one at a time and update them. I'm trying to think, even under my campaigns, there's no way to actually update those records in bulk. I basically have to go in and either delete them and re-import them, or I have to go in and just edit and change. Trying to think, even using an advanced search, there's no way I can search for them, but not necessarily update any data. I can find them this way. I can search for them. Let's see. County is equal to Lee. Add a rule, and basically, let's see. State. Property state, you know, you go to Florida, obviously, and I search. So I can get all these records back based on that search. I can select all. So I can change the status of those records, or I can delete those records, or I can tag the records. I can make those kind of changes. But so far as changing the state or the actual county without re-importing, there's really no way I can think of to do that. I'll think of that, because you have 504 records in, that met my search criteria here. I'm going to think about how I might be able to do that. Okay. So David says, I thought, I'm going to answer this question here because I think it will help clarify for everybody. I thought we do a county list or edit to get rid of duplicates of owners. Then we send to Investment Dominator to get the identification number, then add that at the Excel list, then send format the list and send to the mailing company to send out. Do a county list edit to get rid of duplicates. No, David, you don't have to do that. So do we do a county list edit to get rid of duplicate of owners? And I'm assuming you're thinking you do this outside of the Investment Dominator. Then we send it to Investment Dominator to get the identification number, and then to the Excel list, then send the format. No, David, you don't need to do that. And the reason being is because Alex and Company, when you have, even if you have, when you're bringing in your records, importing your records into Investment Dominator. Investment Dominator keeps track, like for this Robert Bartus, who has a certain address information. Um, when Investment Dominator finds another Robert Bartus with the same exact address, Investment Dominator has already created a record that has a unique owner's ID number for Robert Bartus. Now, when it finds another Robert Bartus with the exact same address, it considers that a duplicate owner, and automatically Investment Dominator will not create a new owner record. Keep in mind that there's two different databases going on concurrently here. We have an owner database, which has Robert's name and his address information, and we have another database, separate database, that has all of the property records that are associated with his owner ID. So when Investment Dominator finds another Robert Bartus, same address, it says to itself, okay, I've already got this owner. That's why when you do your imports, you get a list of so many owners are already existing. So Investment Dominator will not create another owner record. So therefore, it will not duplicate owner records. It will also not duplicate property records. If it finds for Robert Bartus, it finds an APN number that already exists in the system, it will not create a brand new data record or property ID record either. It will bypass that, and it'll give you that message. That's why once you do your imports, okay, once you import into Investment Dominator, you choose your file, you upload the list, you get what we call a results page that says how many owners already existed, how many records already existed. That's the reason Investment Dominator is taking care of that for you. So you don't need to filter out duplicates before you import into Investment Dominator. And Investment Dominator will do that as you import. Then you come in here and you say, I want to send to my mailing house. So I'm going to create this CSV file. It already does that for you. And it's unique, all right, for all of your owners and your property. And so you can send that to the mailing house. And as you send that to the mailing house, you'll also send the template and the envelope template, and you're good to go, okay? So just so you know, you don't have to worry about filtering that before you get it into Investment Dominator. Okay, hope that brings a little clarity there, because we do kind of get some confusion there. All right, let's see. Is there anything I can get here in just a quick minute before we get off here? We've got okay. I can answer this question real quick from David. David also asked, Pat Live sends me data, which I input one by one into Investment Dominator. As I look at this, I'm going to have to spend a little time here, but which I don't have. But anyway, I'm going to start answering this question first thing on Monday. So he says, when Pat Live sends me data, which I input one by one into Investment Dominator, how do you save the data they send? So one of the first things, so Pat Live is your call center. They come into your land records. They look for everything in mailed letter one status, and then they will hopefully find your person. Rather than you coming in here, David, having to enter this data, I would recommend that you set Pat Live up as a user of your team. Give them a Pat Live rep login, have them log into your account. And rather than you having to come in here and put this information, I'm going to suggest you have them come in and search for the mail letter one and put the appropriate information in. That will save you much time and duplicating that effort. So you don't need to save any of the data that they send you. All you do is let them log in to your Investment Dominator account and update the proper record. Okay? So that's the last one I can answer today. That's all we have time for. I want to leave this thought with you before you go away from hopefully which will be a very nice weekend. This is a quote from the late Muhammad Ali. It isn't the mountains ahead to climb that wear you out. It's most likely the pebble in your shoe. And some of you that hike out there, you can, I know I can relate to that. So he says, it isn't the mountains ahead to climb that wear you out, but it's often the pebble in your shoe. Some of the little things that you have to deal with day in, day out. That's what can wear you out. All right, folks, have a great weekend. Have a great remainder of your Thursday. Look for you to be safe out there. And we will look forward to getting your questions answered again on Monday, 5 p.m., which will be 8 p.m. Eastern time. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye now.